Sorry about that last one, guys. I don't know if anybody's still around. I'll let it fill up a little bit. Let me know you're here, guys. Make comments. Internet crapped out. Sorry about that. I'm back. Looking on the bookshelves right now. Star Wars 1 still in progress. I got my fantasy books there. Brandon Sanderson, guys. You should be happy. I've got more. Those are just the ones I've got out of my boxes so far. Man, it's been a wild summer. It's been crazy. I'll let it fill up a little bit before I start talking too much. Ask any questions. You guys want to know what I was doing this summer, what happened, what's going on? I think pretty much everybody knows I moved. Obviously, you can tell everything looks different. Oh man, gosh darn. What a wild, wild summer for me. It's still summer for another month, month and a half, right? It's crazy. Oh man. I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, if anybody wants to talk about that. I just saw that the other day. I saw that 2 days ago. I was pleasantly surprised. I was not really wild about Deadpool 2. It was okay. I wasn't super wild about it. I watched it more for Wolverine. I'm a Wolverine fan. I don't know if I probably never really talked about that on here. I'm a pretty big Wolverine fan. Mm. Let me know who's here. The comments I think are delayed. So I'm trying to say something and it might be delayed by like 30 seconds. Anyway, I'll let it fill up a little bit. We'll see. I know it's late. I know I thought about rescheduling it. I might do another one later this weekend. I thought about just rescheduling it because I threw everybody off. I know about 20 minutes ago. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I've got a lot of this on the floor still. I've got my comics are all on the floor. I gotta go through these. I gotta come up with a better system for comics. Anyway, yeah. Anybody wants to talk about I don't want to just ramble and be like, go through my whole summer, but it's been since June. I haven't done a stream since June, what, 2nd? June 2nd? Dominic says, "Hello, what's the stream about?" Just whatever. Just shooting the breeze, bud. I'm assuming you're new because usually I just kind of shoot the breeze here. I don't really have like a scripted format or anything. I haven't done a stream in 2 months. I don't know if you're a new subscriber, Dominic, but I was moving. So I didn't do any streams for 2 months. I haven't done anything since June, beginning of June. So we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. I can talk about my summer. I can talk about what I did. I moved twice. I had to move my stuff out of my apartment into my fiance's parents' house. And then, because basically we were waiting for renters to get out of the house that we're in now. So I had to drop our stuff off. I had to find somewhere to put our stuff. So I had to put all this and all of our stuff at her parents' house. And then I went to go stay with my dad because her parents' house is under construction. So we couldn't stay there, but they had a storage unit, like a storage unit we could use. So we both stayed with my dad in Kansas City. So it's just been nuts. I've been everywhere. I've been over Went to Kansas City to visit my dad. I went to, Omaha to visit my grandparents. So it's just been nuts. I've been all over the place. Watched a bit of the last stream you did the other month, yeah. The moving one, or I don't know. I'm assuming you mean the moving one. That was the last one I did, where I was putting all my books away. Yeah. Whatever you wanna talk about, Dominic, we can talk about whatever you wanna talk about. I just man, God, I hate moving. I'm so glad this is over. Like, this is my last move, like, for the foreseeable future. I've moved, like, 5 times in the past, like, 3 years. I'm so freaking done with moving, especially when you have tons of books, like me. It's a pain. It sucks. Like, it already God, moving just in general sucks, but, like, moving when you have a lot of stuff and I really don't have that much stuff, it's just books, like, that's my only kind of thing I really collect anymore is books. And I have some video games. I've sold a lot of my video games off. I don't I mean, I have a decent amount of video games, I shouldn't say that. I still have pretty decent collection, but I've sold a lot off over the years. But yeah, man, moving twice. Technically, let's see. Yeah, moving twice in a year is not fun. I'm currently playing Baldur's Gate 3. Have you played that one yet? I've started playing it. Yeah, I need to go back to it. I kind of like man, I don't know if you played Dragon Age. Dragon Age Origins is fantastic. Like I started playing Dragon Age about not long before Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and I'm like, oh man, like I need to finish Dragon Age first. So I just finished Dragon Age about I don't know, I'd say right before I moved. So I'm like, I guess I'll probably start Baldur or continue Baldur's Gate 3. I can't play like I used to be able to just burn through RPGs, man. Like I just don't have time, man. The older I'm getting, I don't have time to sit and burn through like 50 like 50 hour. I mean, what's Baldur's Gate 3? What is it like? I think like the minimum time on that's like 50 hours, isn't it? Like it'll take me forever to get through it. I want to play it. I mean, I from what I played, it was fantastic, but um, you know, honestly, like I guess I'm getting old because I'd rather dedicate that time to reading than playing a video game. Like I guess I should say, like yeah, I kind of enjoy shorter games the older I'm getting. I'm kind of liking like I'm kind of going back and playing like really short games, like games you can burn through, and like like Mario or something. You can burn through. You can play the original Mario and like you can beat that in, like an hour. I think, can't you? Yeah, my hair is all crazy like Doc Brown. But I'm kind of going back to like shorter games because you can get through them. I just don't have the time to like to play like 50, 60 hour RPGs anymore. Dragon Age took me forever to get through. It was a great game, but it took me like God, that took me at least like 3 or 4 months, I think, at least. But but yeah, I'm gonna play it. I'll play it. I'll get to it. I'll probably make that my next big like RPG. It'll just take me like 4 months, 5 months to get through it. I played a bit of Dragon Age Inquisition a while ago, but that's the only Dragon Age game I've played. Yeah, I've isn't the general consensus like the first one's the best, and then 2 kind of dips a little bit, and then 3 is a little bit better, but like most people say the first game's the best. And I played 2. I played 2 back when it came out, and I remember 2 just kinda being okay, and I never really, like, went past that. I never bothered to play anything past that. But, but Origins is fantastic. Like, I really recommend if you're liking Baldur's Gate 3, it's basically it's a Baldur's I think they wanted to basically, from what I understand, they wanted to make a Baldur's Gate game, and they couldn't get the license, so they ended up just making their own thing. So it's basically Baldur's Gate. It's a Baldur's Gate game just with different characters and branding, and it doesn't use the D&D branding and stuff, but it's the same thing, pretty much. Um, but yeah, they're all good. I mean, I've like even two. I remember being like not as good, but it's still a good game. But I don't, I'm trying to think of like RPGs. I'm not huge in RPGs. Like, I mean, especially turn-based. I know Baldur's Gate and all those aren't turn-based, but well, the new one is, isn't it? Isn't Baldur's Gate 3 turn-based? That's the only thing I didn't like about it because I'm not big on turn-based. That's the only thing I didn't like about it. So I'll play it though because it's. I feel like the game's good enough. I can get over it. Like if the game's good enough, like Final Fantasy 7, like I can play that. I played that all the way through because the game is just so good. I don't, the fact that it's turn-based, I was able to overlook it. So, um, but I'm picky with RPGs. I'm kind of weird. Like I'm very very picky about RPGs. Like shooters, I'll play any shooter, especially first person shooters. I'll play anything. I'll play the even crappy. Like I can find enjoyment out of like kind of crappy first person shooter games. But RPGs, I'm very picky. I guess it's kind of like I treat it like a book sort of because it's a kind of big of a time investment. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a shooter. Like most shooters, you can burn through in like 5, 6 hours. An RPG, you're pouring like 20, 30 minimum like 20, 30 hours into it. So to me, it's gotta be at least, has to be exceptional. Has to be very good. But Dragon Age is great. So is Baldur's Gate. Have you read a book that had a show movie adaptation where the film was better than the book? Have you read? Oh, you're saying like yeah, an adaptation of a book where the film was better. Ooh, I would say, I want to say Blade Runner. I want to say Blade Runner. I think the book is good. The book's pretty good, but the movie's better. And especially if you factor in 2049, like the book's better. Or sorry, the movie's better. That would be my gut response. That's the only one I can think of, honestly. I mean, pretty much every book that I've read that has an adaptation, the book's better. Like 90% of the time, I would say 95% of the time, the book's better. So I'd say Blade Runner. That'd be the only, and it's not a huge gap. Like the book's pretty good. Like the book is still good. The book's probably like an 8, and the movie's like a 9 or a 10. I'm not a 10, I guess, but like a 9.5. I think Blade Runner is a little bit overrated. Like it's slightly overrated. I think it's a fantastic movie. But like people say, it's the best movie ever. Like it's not the best movie ever. It's fantastic. I mean, it's like amazing, but and it added tons of things to Cyberpunk, and like it was basically like a Cyberpunk watershed moment. But um, it's not the best movie ever. It's like it's up there. It's probably in the top 10, but I wouldn't put it as number one. It'd be like in top 5 maybe. But Blade Runner, that'd be my only. That's my go-to because I've read both. I've read the book and I've seen the movie. I know Die Hard's one people say. I've not read the book. I don't remember the name of the book, but it's Die Hard was a book, and pretty much everybody says the movie's better. But I have not read the book, so I can't say that. So that's my answer. Blade Runner. We talk more about that because that's an interesting subject. Zachary Wagster. Hey, you're not dead. Yeah, I'm not dead. I told everybody I was moving. I told you guys I was moving. It took me a little longer than I was expecting. I was expecting to be in this house like in July, like middle of July, and we just got in. We just got in like a week ago, so it took longer than I expected, but it was a pain. But it's over. Thank goodness. I'm so glad it's all over finally. Have you ever seen an adaptation of a book and I'm assuming it was adapted terribly, but the movie was still good on its own? Hmm. Oh man, I had a good example of that, and I can't remember. I had a really good example of that. Shoot. God dang it. I had a good example of that. I was thinking about that the other day, actually. Because there are movies like that where the book is like totally different. Blade Runner is kind of like that. The book's pretty different. Like the book is mainly just him like talking about his electric sheep and it's like electric animals. He's talking about electric animals and it's somewhat similar, but the book's pretty different. I'll try to think of something else though. Let me think. I had a really good example of that, and I cannot remember what the heck was it. Like it was the book. It was I read the book and it was like totally different. But you're saying good. See, that's a problem. That's because like I can't think of anything that's really good. Like shoot. Because I mean I could say Aragon. Like Aragon is like I mean I shouldn't say it's totally different, but like a lot of the major plot beats are totally different. But that the movie's not good. So that's not a good example. That's not a good example. Gosh dang it. I had it. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I'm totally blanking. I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to get stuck on Blade Runner, but Blade Runner keeps popping in my head because it's pretty different. The movie's more violent. Like the book's not really like, it's kind of more just philosophical. It's not really like, there's not a whole lot of action in the book. So that's a pretty good example. I guess not to be stuck on Blade Runner, but I'll think of a better one. Don't worry. I'll think of a different one. I think of The Shining. Um, Yeah, I've heard that's very different. Didn't Stephen King, like, he got mad about it? Didn't he get mad how it was, like, totally different and, like, he thought Stanley Kubrick, like, just butchered it or something, right? And he, like, made his own version of it and it was terrible. Like, it's the Stanley Kubrick one is, like, a million times better. I've never I'm not huge into Stephen King. Like, I like him as an idea guy, but I'm not huge into him. I need to give him another chance. I know I'm saying that I have a copy of it in the background. I have some of his books. I need to read them. Um, I liked Carrie. Carrie was pretty good. I read Carrie because it was short. He just has a tendency to ramble. I don't like books that ramble, and he has a tendency to do that. So, but yeah, I've heard of that. I've heard The Shining. What I heard it was that he actually wished he wrote his book as good as the movie. Yeah. Well, that he said that, and then didn't he like he kind of backpedaled on that or something? I don't know. I could have sworn I read somewhere that he was like, because why do you do the adaptation? Like, why do that if he felt that? I think he like backpedaled on that and was upset or something. Maybe I misread that or something, but I could have sworn I read somewhere that he like that's why he did his adaptation of it because he wanted to be true to the book and or something like that. Maybe something along those lines. But if you seem to be know more about Stephen King, I don't know tons about him to be honest, just behind like basic stuff. But yeah, I've heard that's a good example. A lot of his stuff, his a lot of his books are like that, right? Like his adaptations are like they're totally different a lot of times. Like they're like not even remotely similar to the books. Anyway, I guess you could kind of say that about Dune, sort of. Like kind of because they even the new one, like they changed some things. They changed some pretty major plot points. Really, I'm not a big King fan either, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Oh, okay. Huh. You're right. Maybe I know a little bit about King. I've kind of researched him a little bit. I could have sworn I read somewhere that I think he did say that initially. Like I think you're right because initially he said that, and then I think he backpedaled on it and got was upset. Stephen King's a weird dude, man. Like I like again I like his ideas, but he's just I don't know, man. He does some weird stuff sometimes, and he makes some really weird decisions with his books sometimes. I've never read it, but heard Starship Troopers is way different than the movie. Oh, that's it. That's it. That was what I was looking for. Thank you, Justin. That's it. Like it's not even remotely. That's a perfect example. That's a perfect example because the book and the movie are both great. They're both fantastic and totally separate and have almost nothing to do with each other. Not almost nothing to do with each other. They're almost totally different. The only thing that's similar is there's Marines, Space Marines, and there's bugs. There's giant bugs. That is literally it. Everything is completely different. The book is basically like again, it's like it's much more philosophical. It's much more about the boot camp. Like pretty much most of the book takes place in the boot camp. Like I would say 75% of it. There's only like two battles, and there's other aliens too. There's other like in the book. There are these I can't remember what they're called, but like there's these big tall aliens. Like it's totally different, guys. Like totally different. That's perfect example. Perfect example. Perfect example. It's totally. I remember that's another thing. That's another one too. I remember reading somewhere that the director of that movie like he started reading the book and he's like, "No, I don't, I don't want to adapt this." So he took a script for a different movie he had and he just slapped the Starship Troopers name on it. So it's like it really isn't. It's an adaptation in name only. That's a trope. It's a trope, I think. It's like when something's an adaptation of name only. iRobot's like that. iRobot, the Will Smith movie, the book and the movie are totally different. Like the movie wasn't iRobot, it was a different script, and they just slapped the iRobot name on it because it has nothing to do with it. But iRobot's debatable whether it's a good movie, and it's a dumb like it's kind of a dumb fun action movie, but beyond that, it's it's not really a good movie. Um, King hated the Shining movie. Yeah, see, that's what I heard, Justin. That's what I remember hearing. I remember like I remember hearing that like he was not happy with it. That's why he did his own adaptation of it, and like it sucked. So like it's like that's what I'm saying, man. He King's a good idea guy. I think he kind of has a George Lucas problem. He's like he has these great ideas. They are just not always executed well. He doesn't. He's an idea guy. He's not an execution guy. So that's what I thought I heard. That's what I thought. Damn, I just got on the bus to go home after work and apparently popped on at the right time. Yeah, yeah, I was hoping for a little bit more, but it's all right. I'm doing this kind of late. I didn't want to do it real long. I kind of just wanted to pop in and be like, "Hey guys, I'm back." So I'm not gonna go real late or anything, most likely. But but yeah, I am back and doing stuff. I'll be back doing more stuff. And as you can see, the bookshelves are in disarray, but they will be put together soon. Anyway, um, I don't know. I should have probably scheduled this ahead of time, but so we could have got a little bit more engagement here. I'll do another stream. I'll probably do another stream. I don't know. I might do one tomorrow or Sunday, one or the other. D23 happening right now. Got the new Star Wars Skeleton Crew trailer finally. Mm. Is that? I'm sorry, man. I don't follow Disney Star Wars like at all anymore. Hardly at all anymore. Is that live action or is that a cartoon or the last thing I watched was Obi-Wan. I tapped out on Disney Star Wars with like Obi-Wan or Boba Fett, one of those. Might have been Boba Fett, whichever one was after that was the last one I watched. How many books do you think you've read in your life? Over or under 1K? Oh, definitely over 1K. I mean, I can't even God, just Star Wars books alone would be probably close to that. So, I mean, God, I don't even know. Let's see. I average about a book a week. So 52, that's 52 times, what would that be? 52 times like 30, maybe, no, book a week. Yeah, let's see. And again, that's average. So it's definitely over 1,000. It's probably, yeah, at least double that. So it depends on the week. There's weeks I can read two or three books. It depends on the length. But at least, yeah, I would say at least probably 2 or 3,000 at least. Like, that's probably being conservative. I read a lot. I took I kind of did the typical thing for most people my age. Like, I read a lot when I was a kid and in my teens, like early to mid teens, and then I did kind of quit like in my late teens, early 20s, like when I was in college, and then a little after, I didn't read much. And then I got back on it in my mid 20s. About my mid 20s, I started reading, and I've never looked back. So I would say 3,000, 2 to 3,000. I'd say minimum. And it's probably more than that. I wish Goodreads was around when I was a kid. I'd be keeping track of all that. But I've clocked myself past 2 years, and I read about 52. I average roughly a book a week. So you can do the math. You do the math, that's about 2,000 books, I think. 2 to 3. Any chance of you doing the MHI series, Monster International? Yeah, I want to, man. I think the actual author, I think Larry Corellia actually sent the to take it down. Larry Corellia took it down, like sent the thing to YouTube to take it down. So, because it tells me who sends the copyright strike, and I'm pretty sure it said Corellia something. So I think the actual I'll find a way. I'll have to do AI or something. I'll have to find some way to get around it. But um for now, that's a to be continued on that. Because yeah, those were great. I love those, and they brought a lot of people to the channel, and they're fun books, and I'll figure something out, somewhere one way or the other. I was surprised. Like I was actually pretty surprised. Like I figured like if anything, wouldn't you want your books to be like reach a wider audience? Because like Bane books are not that well known. I can't imagine they sell that well. Like where they're making like they're not really losing hardly any money from me. I mean, if anything, you think Disney would be, more on top of it than than Bane books. But anyway, I'll find something. Dembski. I'm just try to stick around because I want to do more with MHI and just Bane books in general. I have a fascination with Bane books. They're really some of those are just fantastic and extremely underrated. MHI is underrated. It's such a great series. So I'll find a way to get back. So stay tuned. Honestly, I don't really read much. I'd say less than 100. Laugh out loud. Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with that. And I'm a 30-year-old. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with that. If read your own pace, man. It's not a race. I mean, it's not, you know, it fluctuates. That's the thing. Like I've heard, because people, whatever book flex or whatever you want to call it, like, oh man, I read like 5 books a week or blah blah. It's like, it's like, who cares? A and B, it just depends on what's going on in your life. Like I barely read this summer, man. I read one and a half books. I had a book I was working on that I finished, and then I read one book. That was it. I read one book this whole summer, which for me is like that's incredibly slow for me. But for you, that might be like, hey, that's great. It just depends on what's going on in your life. When I have a lot going on, I have trouble reading when I have a lot going on in my life. It's because reading to me it has to be I have to be relaxed. I have to be like in a good place or whatever. I can't do it when I'm stressed or whatever. So hey, it's all good, Dominic. And you can improve your reading speed too. Like when I first started getting back into reading in my 20s, it took me a while. It took me it take me about a month to get through a book. Now I can get through a book in a week easily, depending on the book or what the denseness of it or whatever. But um, it's just whatever works for you. It's supposed to be fun. I mean, I read for pleasure. I know some people don't, but I read for pleasure. That's the only way to do it for me, at least for like this kind of stuff for sure. Like you gotta have fun, enjoy it. If it takes you a month, so be it. If it takes you a week, so be it. It's whatever works for you. So I find it helps to, if you're trying to get back into it, it helps to start small, like read YA, read like, you know, I don't know, whatever, something you enjoy, like something comfortable. Like if you like Harry Potter or whatever it is, like read YA for a little bit, and then because then you get that like satisfaction of like getting through a book real quick, and then you can kind of work your way up, and that's kind of what I did. Because I think I started in my 20s. I started kind of I read some YA, and then I just kept going up and up and up a level. Like I'd read a adult, young, short, you know, adult stuff, then medium length adult stuff, then like phone books. Like you just kind of work your way up the ladder. It's like working out. Like you don't just walk into a weight room and pick up a 100, 200 pound bar. You have to work your way up to it. It's similar. It's a similar process, in my opinion. I think it's not smart to just. I think what turns a lot of people off is like they just jump in and they just like they get like they grab like 1,000 page novel, like they grab like a Brand Sanderson or like Wheel of Time or something, and then they just like they get like 100 pages into it and they just oh like I can't do this. It's way too long. It's like you're jumping in the deep end of the pool. You need to work your way up to that. You need to read some lower you know, read some YA, read some stuff that's a little bit easier to get through. Read some Harry Potter or whatever. Like I said, whatever. Read some Narnia. Read Harry Potter. Read Artemis Fowl. Whatever you like. Read that, and then go to the next level. Then read, maybe like Forgotten Realms or something. Then like fantasy. Fantasy is honestly. I had that problem with fantasy. I was kind of intimidated by fantasy for the longest time. I never really got. I was a sci-fi guy because sci-fi books are usually kind of short. You get through them pretty quick. Um, I didn't read much fantasy till I got older, till my like late 20s, early 30s, because I was so intimidated by like door stoppers. Like I got up there, I was just intimidated by it. Like I don't want to read like I can't imagine even reading an 800 900,000 page book. You know, but I worked my way up to it. I read some YA stuff first. Then I read some then I read like Forgotten Realms and stuff like that. Like I just said, I kind of worked my way up to it. And then now, yeah, I could, 1,000 pages is nothing now. Like, wait, oh, you can't see it there, it's blocked, but the, what do you call it? The Name of the Wind. Like I blew through that in like a week. And that's like an 800 page, 900 page book. I never could have done, I never would have done that like 10 years ago. There's no way. So, and again, you can just and some people can just jump into it, and I mean, I kind of recommend that too. If you're that kind of person and you want to just jump into it. Like if you think if you know maybe I'm a wimp and I just I guess I just needed that like because most people have that. I didn't I couldn't really read fantasy as a kid. I was kind of not to go too deep into like politics or religion or anything, but like I wasn't really allowed to read fantasy as a kid. So I didn't have that like most people like, "Oh, I grew up reading, Dragonlance," or "I grew up reading, Harry Potter," or like I didn't have that. So I mean, I had to basically start from square one with fantasy. So, it was a little bit of a learning process for me. Like I had to find that those stepping stones. But anyway, thank you for your channel, mate. Truthfully, very appreciated. Of course, of course. Dempsey, sorry. Dempsey Squires. You've been on here before, I know. I think you always ask about MHI, don't you? And Warhammer, maybe? You always ask me about those things, and I wanna do them. I wanna do them, man. Like, I wanna find ways to do them, but they're just man, especially, Warhammer is just they're just Games Workshop is just man, pre-Draconian, man. I almost lost a channel. I almost lost a channel over that because I had, like, 2 strikes for a while there. So it was pretty scary there. The channel almost went under because you get 3 strikes and you're gone. So the Warhammer almost killed the channel. So I'm very wary of doing Warhammer stuff. But you're welcome, Dempsey. Dempsey. Oh. Anyway, I don't know if you guys wanna if you can't. I got let's see, I got most of the Wheel of Time up all the way at the top up here. There, I got bring my Sandersons. I got that's the King Killer Chronicle there. A couple other things. The Dunes, the Frank Herberts, and I've got some Terry Brooks. Terry Brooks is right there, and you can't see it, but Dragonlance is underneath. I think I got my paperbacks. The paperback Lord of the Rings are back there, so it's all coming together. Rift War Cycle for you guys, people, anybody that knows Rift War, Raymond E. Feist is right behind me, right there. And then underneath that is my Forgotten Realms, my Dritz books. Which, by the way, for Dritz, anybody that knows Dritz um, stuff, I almost went. Oh man, I wanted to buy it so bad. They have a Dritz um, visual dictionary now. I'm gonna get it at some point. When I'll find it cheap used somewhere. But it had it had all the characters and like just everything. It looked so cool. It was illustrated so well. It was way better than the Star Wars ones. The Star Wars visual dictionaries are just like the old ones used to be okay, but the new ones just suck. Man, we had a bunch of people on there. We had like 5 people. Where'd everybody go? Yeah, that's right. I can't believe the author himself took it down. Like you said, apart from the first two, they're not even that popular on Audible. I think the author is just being a dick. Yeah, kind of like I kind of took that as like, I mean, I don't want to talk smack about Larry Corellia, but like it was kind of petty to me. It's like I can't imagine those books. Like if it was me, like I'd be like, dude, go for it. Like it's just giving me free publicity. Like people are talking about my books, and like I was gonna talk about them. I was gonna do a whole big thing about them, and just bring a bunch of publicity to it. And like he just like, yeah, like what are you doing? Like I can't. Yeah, like that doesn't shock me at all. That does not shock me that past the first one or two. I can't imagine those books don't. They're not that well known. Like if anything, I would just be bringing more publicity to them. I was pretty disappointed. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, man. I wanted to really go all out on that, and you don't put your channel at risk. You still have a lot of good content. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Like I want to do it, but like I it's just like I better just leave well enough alone. So especially that's that's what's funny. It wasn't Bane. It was not Bane. It was Larry Corelli. It was not Bane. I figured it was gonna be Bane. Like usually it's a publisher. When I tried to do was it the Ender books or whatever. It was a publisher. That was a publisher. Like pretty much everybody was always a publisher. It was never the author like that. I don't know. Yeah, I'll just leave it alone. So for now, but it just yeah, it was so strange. Like I figured like if anything, like I would have Star Wars, I'd have Disney or so I guess I'm just looking through the cracks with Disney. That's all I think Disney is just so incompetent. That's what I think it is. I think they're so incompetent and or they just do not care about the legacy content at all. It's probably more that. I think they just don't care about Legends, like whatever expanded universe. They don't care about it, so they just kind of let us. They just let us kind of do our own thing. They just let us. You know, they let us just float around and do what we want with it, as long as we're not, um, monetizing it or whatever. Like I couldn't monetize this channel. I I haven't even tried because I'm sure it wouldn't go through. So I have to do Patreon and all that, but it is what it is. I'm doing this for fun. I'm not doing this for the money. Um, yeah, 100%. Yeah, play it safe. Yeah, play it safe. Yeah, I just yeah, no. I wanna do man, I'll find other things. I'll find ways around it. I'll find other things to do. Um, because yeah, Dempsey, I'm with you, man, with the MHI stuff. It's such a great series. It deserves more love. A lot of Bane books deserve more love. I don't know if you've read, I don't know if you know anything, any other Bane books, but what is it? The Paul Zine cycle. I think it's him before battle. It's John Ringo. That's another really good series. If you like military science fiction, that is like amazing. It's like Starship Troopers taking to the next level. It's really good. So I recommend that if you're into like, or the guy that on here that was whoever mentioned Starship Troopers on here. If you're interested in, you read the Paul Zine cycle. Just look up John Ringo's books and just read anything by John Ringo. I'd like to do those, but again, I wonder if like I know what'll happen. I would do that, and John Ringo would send me. He would take them down. That would be my look. It wouldn't be Bane books. It'd be the same thing. John Ringo, take my books down. Even though he's like 65, I think. I don't know. Whatever. You feel that you have more freedom to do what you want if you don't monetize the channel. Kinda. It's not even really that. I don't even, it wouldn't go through, man. I'm tempted to try, but I'm just worried it's gonna draw attention to me. I think I'm kind of slipping through the cracks, like just because I'm not monetized. I'm doing the alternate monetization through Patreon. Um, so I think I'm just kind of slipping through the cracks, which is good. I don't want to draw attention to myself from Disney and whoever, even though there's a couple monetized um EU audiobook channels, but I don't I think they do fan fiction. They don't do That's the loophole, I think, is fan fiction. So I thought about doing something like that, but eh, I think I don't know. There's so much I can do. There's a lot of things I can do. But yeah, you that's part of it. Yes, I mean, Dominic, you bring up a good point. I have a lot more freedom. I don't have to worry about like playing by the rules as much. A little bit. So that is a little factor of it, but most of it's 'cause they won't let me monetize. They won't. I did try way back when I first just started doing audiobooks. I think when I had the Turok one and, what was it? I had a couple of the Splinter Cell. I had the Splinter Cell and the Turok, and they were like, "Nope, you can't. You're reusing content." So if they didn't let me do it then, I would be shocked if they did let me do it now. So I'm not gonna bother, at least for now. Dempsey says, "Yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing. I subscribed to you a while back. I'm definitely not unsubscribing to anything. I would love to see the channel grow. Thank you." Yeah, tell everybody you know. Tell anybody you know who likes Star Wars or anything else. Any kind of sci-fi, fantasy, anything. I plan on doing I want to do a lot more than just Star Wars. Like I know that's the main draw of my channel, but I want to do more than just Star Wars. That's what I was trying to do with MHI. And with Warhammer and just like other things. I wanna expand beyond just Star Wars. I think I'm getting a little bit stuck in a rut, and I've said this before, but I'm getting stuck in a little bit of a rut with Star Wars. I wanna keep doing Star Wars, but do other things too, so it grows. So I still can't believe I hit 10K. That's crazy. I never ever thought I'd hit 10K, and that was only within I mean, what, I only really started seriously doing this, what, a year and a half ago? 2 years ago? Not even I think year and a half ago, 2 tops. So I it's nuts. I can't believe I hit 10K. I never thought I'd get anywhere near that. I was happy to hit 1,000, whatever, a year and a half ago when I hit 1,000. much less 10K. So yeah, you guys are awesome. So that's who I really appreciate is you guys for getting me there. And I know it's just a number, like it's just a number, but it means a lot to me. So you can't see what that is. Oh yeah, the party thing. Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Yeah, I did I should have done I did a stream for it, I think, didn't I? I did some for it. So yeah. No, I never thought I'd get anywhere near that. I thought I'd be lucky to hit 5, much less 10. But yeah, no, I didn't I don't know. I know this was kind of a spur of the moment thing, so I know it's a little late probably for most people. I don't want to keep anybody too late. So I'll go a little bit longer, but um if anybody I don't know, I guess what is everybody how's everybody feel about well, I'll try to keep it channel related. I was gonna talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, but trying to keep it like somewhat, I guess, sci-fi fantasy related. Well, that's sci-fi, isn't it? But anyway, uh, I liked it. Like it was uneven. Like there was parts of it I didn't like, and it was very uneven. But overall, it was kind of one of those movies where like the it was it the parts? It was greater than some of its parts. Like Hugh Jackman was just like he knocked it out of the park. Like by far, he was the best part of that movie. By far, it was worth it just to see him honestly in the Wolverine suit and just him like just God just acting his ass off. I almost want to say he was better as Wolverine in that movie than he was in the older X-Men movies. I know that might be sacrilege, but like I think he was actually better in that than he was in. I mean, he's that's probably the best he's acted as Wolverine since probably the first X-Men movie. Honestly, if I had to like, I'm just trying to think like because there was some cheese like even in X-Men 2 there was some cheese and then 3 definitely. But I mean that's not his fault. But yeah, I mean I'll say that I would say it's his best portrayal of Wolverine since the first X-Men movie, like from 2000, the original. I haven't seen it yet. What's the best scene in your opinion? Best scene. Well, it's gonna spoil stuff. So if you don't want spoilers, mute your thing. But for me, really, honestly, the last like third of the movie is fantastic. Like basically just him when he finally, or sorry, Wolverine when he kind of finally um when he accepts his his role as a Wolverine and like he puts the full suit on and then he puts the mask on and he wears it the rest of the movie. So like that basically that whole last chunk of the movie is great because it's just Wolverine just doing what he does. And to me that's basically what Wolverine fans have been waiting for the past like 25 years basically since it was the first X-Men movie was announced in like 1999. Like it's finally I feel like it's kind of like it's sort of kind of crazy because like I think it's Hugh Jackman kind of just accepting it too. Like he's just accepting it and just being like, okay, I'll wear the suit, I'll wear the mask, like let's just do this. Like I think it's behind that's what's cool about it. Like I got the sense that like it's him finally just accepting it and not like dancing around the fact that it's a comic book character. So but specifically, I'd say that scene where he suits up, like where he suits up and puts his mask on. And when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was shot very well, and like the musical stings, it was fantastic. But there's a really good, I would say that, and then there's a really funny scene at the beginning. Um, there's a really funny scene at the beginning where It's again spoilers, so mute your thing if you don't want to hear it. But there's a really funny scene in the beginning where he digs up, or should Deadpool digs up Wolverine's body from Logan, because he dies in Logan, the last X-Men movie, and he's basically just killing. He rips apart his skeleton. He's like just knocking. He's just killing dudes with Wolverine's skeleton, basically pulling it apart and like throwing it at people and killing them with it. It's pretty awesome. So I would say those are the two best scenes. What fantasy books would you recommend me to read? I've read the norm, like Lord of the Rings, Chronicles of Narnia, Wheel of Time, etc. Is there any more you have read? Remember that you recommend? My go-to now, I would say, would be the Rift War cycle, which is behind me. Um, most people are going to say Brandon Sanderson. It depends on what you like. If you really like Wheel of Time, I would recommend um Brandon Sanderson's stuff up here. Sorry, over here. If you liked Wheel of Time, if you really what do you, if it depends on what you want out of it. If you like Wheel of Time, read Brandon Sanderson, read um Stormlight Archive, and read the blah 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 Mistborn. If you liked Lord of the Rings, I would recommend the Rift War cycle by Raymond E. Feist. At least that first trilogy. And if you like that, keep going on. If you like Chronicles of Narnia, maybe read like it has like talking animals in it. Maybe you like Ursula, whatever her last name is. She has talking animals. Ursula Quinn or whatever her name is. Or oh, I'm cutting out a little bit. I would say read maybe Dragonlance, or that has a lot of talking animals in it. Or read you could read the Dritz books. The Dritz books are good. Forgotten Realms. I know I'm throwing kind of a lot at you, Dempsey. Um, but those would be my go-to. I'd say Rift War, Sanderson, Brandon Sanderson, and I said Forgotten Realms, Dritz, the Dritz books by R.A. Salvatore. All good choices. And let me know if you need more detail, or if I'm like rambling. Let me know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like proper comic Wolverine. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it's it's just crazy. Like I think it's crazy it took that long, but it kind of in a way it almost made it kind of sweeter because it's like we waited. They teased it for all these years, and like we finally got it. But it was pretty awesome. I'll admit. I don't usually. I'm kind of souring on like fan service. Normally, I don't know. I've kind of gotten tired of fan service. I used to like fan service, but so but lately I've kind of soured on it. But I'll admit it was good fan service. Like it was probably the best fan service in the movie I've seen in a long time. If you know what I mean by fan service, giving the fans what they want, whatever. Anyway, um, yeah, Dempsey. Let me know if you need me to break any of that down. What I told you earlier, I'm I might have thrown too much at you. But I've been digging the Rift War cycle. I've been reading that. That's the thing behind me on my left here, down here. I've been digging that. If you like kind of classic fantasy, like if you like Lord of the Rings, it's pretty similar to Lord of the Rings. No, I got it, mate. Thank you very much. One of my friends was going on about Rift Wars. I think I would give it a go. Thank you. Yeah, good. Yeah, cool. Yeah, talk to your friend. It's great. It's like it's classic fantasy. It's pretty like I don't know what you would call it. Like I don't want to say bare bones, but like it's very like very like classic high fantasy. It's not there's not like magic systems and like it depends. Like some people like that. See, I'm not big on that. I'm not big on like really intricate magic systems and stuff. I just like like, the mat just I just want basic magic, like, okay, magic's there, like, magic like, Gandalf doesn't sit and tell you, like, "Oh, this is how magic works," and he just says, "This is why," he just does it. There's no it's like that. It's like if you I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. I'm kind of a Tolkien purist, like, I'm like to me, like, Tolkien's up here and, like, everybody else is just some level below that. What is it, Terry Pratchett that said, fantasy's a mountain and Tolkien's at the top of the mountain and everybody else is somewhere on the mountain. Like they're looking up at the mountain. That's I agree with him. Like to me, Tolkien's the top. But in my opinion, Feist is up there. Like he's near the top to me. He's not on the top of the mountain with Tolkien, but he's about as close as you can get to like just classic fantasy that's not no frills, no like crazy complex magic systems and like it's just like classic fun fantasy with no politics. Or, I mean, there's politics, like there's politics in the world, but there's no modern BS in it, or there's no like you know, I don't know, no filler. There's not really what I like about it. There's not much filler. That's probably what drew me to it the most. Like a lot of modern fantasy is just bloated. It's just there's so much filler in modern fantasy. I can that's one thing about Brandon Sanderson that I can't that drives me nuts is he has a lot of filler. He has characters that ramble, and I that drives me nuts. I like him, and I like some of his books, but he does some things that annoy me, and that's one of them. But Rift 4 doesn't have that problem. His characters don't ramble. He doesn't go on weird tangents. He just gets to the point. He does he does pretty much what Tolkien does to me, for the most part. Minus, like, the songs and stuff. Like, he has some songs in his later books, um but yeah, you'll like it. You'll like it, give it a shot. At least that first trilogy, you can I mean, I recommend reading I would say read the first trilogy, and then if you like it, keep going, basically. Because I 'cause I'm on book, like, 12 now. I'm about to finish the Serpent War cycle, which is, like, book 12. So, I'm enjoying it clearly. It's 30 books, but you don't have to read the whole thing. It's one of those things where, like, everything is self-contained, so you just wanna read that first trilogy. Or you could read the first book, actually, the first book itself is self-contained. You could just read that first book and quit. I recommend reading the trilogy, though, if you kinda wanna get the original Rift War. The original Rift War is those first 3 books, um, and then just go from there. If you wanna keep reading it, great. If you don't, don't. But that's one I like to recommend to people that because that's one I almost never hear. It's you hear it like you hear about Feist and Rift War here and there, but like he's usually just a footnote. And I don't. He's very underrated in my opinion. Did you read or watch something and hate it, but then it grew on you and you enjoy it now? Watch something and hate it. Um, that's I've had things like that. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about movies or TV or something. Trying to think. Um, what's a good example of that? I don't have that much. I've had it. I don't have that much though. Usually something either clicks with me or it doesn't. I'm trying to think of a good example of that. In terms of movies, maybe like, mm, man, I'm really trying, man. I'll probably go movies because I don't have that much with TV shows because I don't. Maybe, I guess if just okay, TV off the top of my head, maybe The Office. I never really like. I thought it was weird. Like I remember kinda watching it was on before Heroes, which is a show I watched, which anybody, like, over 25 will know what I'm talking about. Um, it was on before Heroes, and I just it was weird, it was like, "What is this, a documentary?" Like, I didn't get it, I just thought it was kinda stupid, like, it's just, like, people in an office, what's so, you know, what funny about that? And then, my fiancé started watching it and kinda got me into it, and It's pretty good. It's pretty funny. A lot of I guess we could sitcoms. I kinda have that with sitcoms, like Frasier. I never really got into Frasier. I thought it was kind of weird and, like, I just thought that was odd, and then she watched that, and I got into it. Um, just off the top of my head, I'd say, like, Frasier and The Office, maybe. Those are just 2 off the top of my head. Um, Definitely I'd say The Office, definitely. I thought it was weird and stupid. I didn't think it was funny at all, and then it has its moments. I still think it's kinda overrated and, like, it's not, like, an amazing show or anything, but it has its moments. It has some funny moments. Yeah, 100%. He invented the story, the lands, the language is literally the godfather of fantasy. The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit are what people think of when they think of fantasy. Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, he's the godfather. He's the guy at the top. You can't you'll never I don't think anybody would be able to top him. I know people try to say Sanderson and, like, I'm like, "Sorry, guys, no." Like, no, Sanderson's good, whatever. Robert Jordan, I'm sorry. They can't they still don't compare. They're great authors, they have some good stuff, but no, you're never gonna be able to top Tolkien. Sorry, he's you can't beat the best. You can't beat the guy that created it all. You can get more dense, like, you can get more like, definitely, like, Wheel of Time is more dense and more, um, Sanderson stuff is way more dense, like, I'm not gonna say that, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, he goes into detail about magic systems and, like, crazy, like, transmutation stuff, like, yeah, of course, but, like, it it becomes a bit too much sometimes for me. That's where I think, um, Sanderson and to a lesser extent Jordan kinda lose me. It's too much. It's just like it's like eating a buffet and, like, you're just like, "Oh, this food is amazing," but you just keep eating and eating and eating. It's like it's too much. It becomes too rich. You know what I mean? It's like eating very rich food. Like, it tastes amazing, but it's like it's too much. It becomes a bit too much. So, the Tolkien hit the perfect to me. He hit the perfect where it's just enough, it's dense enough but it's not too much. So, oh man, I lost some people there. Hey guys, I love Sanderson. I love Jordan, Robert Jordan. I love all those guys. It just becomes a bit too much sometimes. That's all. Trust me. I love those guys. Quick comment. I appreciate your channel. Helps the insomniac stay sane. Yeah. Yeah, I have insomnia sometimes too, so I feel you, man. I'm with you. I'll get up and just sometimes I'll read or I'll just yeah, I'll watch a movie or something 'cause I think I have a little bit of insomnia. I know I do. I need to probably talk to somebody about it. 100% exact same way, yeah. If you're talking about I'm assuming you're talking about when I was talking about with Tolkien and stuff. Um, yeah, I just man, yeah, like with Sanderson and all those guys, they're great. They're fantastic. I feel almost kind of like I'm glad you said that, Dempsey, because it's like I almost feel like a man without a country because I rarely it's just like so overwhelmingly like everything Sanderson does. People are just like, oh, it's just amazing. He just puts out gold. Like not everything he does is gold, guys. Sorry. Like most of his stuff is good. I'm not gonna say that. Like it's good to great. Like and I mean he has some things that are amazing. I'm not saying that, but like he's not Tolkien, guys. I'm sorry. He's just not. There's never gonna probably be another Tolkien, at least not for a really long time. He had something, man. Tolkien just he had something. He was, the guy was in war. The guy, here this is what gets me about Tolkien. Like this is the argument I like to make because people, especially comparing him to, because people like to compare him and George R. R. Martin. Um, you know, because oh George R. R. Martin, his stuff it's so gritty and so real, and it's like people are backstabbing each other. It's like that's not what I want out of fantasy. Like when I want out of a story, and I shouldn't say that. Sometimes I want that, but normally I don't. And like Hogan went to war. Like he saw the worst that humanity had to offer. I mean, he saw the absolute worst. He saw people die in front of him and people die in his arms, and he still was optimistic about the human race and about what we can do, and the good in people in the world. Just he never lost that. Whereas George R. R. Martin, and I'm not picking on the guy or anything, but George R. R. Martin, never went to war, never like he'd never been in any situation like that at all. Um, I don't want to say he was a draft dodger, but I think he avoided service somehow or whatever. Not gonna go into that. But he was a script writer, he lived a pretty sheltered life. And he, has people backstabbing each other and like just about him. It's with him, it's just the evil and people just killing each other and just doing horrible things. And like he saw the worst in humanity, and he lived a pretty sheltered life. Whereas Tolkien lived like saw horrible things, but still saw the good and everything. Like that's I would rather be on that side. Like that's how I am. Like I've seen some horrible things, like really horrible things, even in my own personal life. Watched people do very terrible things, and yet I still have hope. Like I can't believe it. I can't believe that humanity can't do great things. Like I know, especially now we're kind of going through kind of a I'm gonna say dark time, but we're not in the best, you know, place probably right now. But I still think we can turn around. So that's the argument I make about Hogan. Say what you will about the guy. He was an optimist, and it shows in his work. And to me, that's what a work should be. Like a good work of art should uplift you. It should uplift you to some degree. And I'm not saying grittiness and stuff has its place, because sometimes you need that. I think sometimes you do need to get in the muck and and all that. But for the most part, like I feel like you should want to uplift yourself. But that's just how I am. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, so I do. I feel like we're in the minority, man. Like Dempsey, I feel like we're in the minority. I feel like people just kind of want to. I feel like a lot of people want to be depressed. Like I don't want to be depressed and like reminded of like how crappy people can be. I would rather go the other way and be reminded of how good people can be, like how uplifting people can be. But again, that's just me. I don't know what my watch keeps doing something. Sorry. Um, so true. I read fantasy because I want to escape this world. When you read Game of Thrones and the rest of his works, it's just like watching the news. Yes, they're brilliant, but they're too real. Yeah, exactly. That's how I am. It's just like they're great works. I'm not saying that. Like it's fantastic work, but it's not an escape. Like to me, I want fantasy to be an escape in general. Like just reading in general, but especially fantasy. I want it to be an escape. What was it? I think it was in somebody said that like um was it when they were comparing Tolkien and Martin, they were like I think it was Epic Rock Battles of History or something. He says like, something like the genre was called fantasy. It's meant to be unrealistic or something like, yeah, it is. It's meant to be like it's supposed to be an idealized version of humans, of people. Like same thing with it's like Star Trek. Star Trek's a good example of that. That's probably why I like Star Trek and Star Wars a lot because it's Star Wars the same way. It's their idealized version. They're supposed to be the best versions of people. People don't mention that with Star Wars much, but Star Wars is the same way. Like Han Solo, he's kind of a jerk, but then he becomes a better human being by the end of even by the end of the first movie, he's already a better human being. You know, Star Trek, you know, same thing, like Kirk, Kirk is there's isn't there an episode where whatever, there's with the Romulans or whatever, even in that, like, people are people on the crew or don't they get mad at Spock or whatever because like, oh, he's like the Romulans, and Kirk's like, he's not. Kirk's like, he's not. I'm not gonna just because he looks like a Romulan, they look similar. I'm not gonna assume Spock is, gonna hurt us. He's our friend. He's done nothing but help us. So, you know, it's just dumb to be anyway, I'm trailing off, but because I'm getting tired, but anyway, it's just I prefer that. I prefer idealized versions of people in my media, if possible. Like sometimes I want realism. I'm not saying that, but hey, SJ photo. Man, you caught me like right at the end here. I was about to. I'll do another stream, but I was about to end it here. We were talking about Lord of the Rings, and then I sort of pivoted to Star Trek, sort of. So we can talk about Star Trek real quick if you want before I end the stream. I was only gonna do like half-hour thing. I definitely don't like the gray area characters. Yeah, it depends. Like sometimes I do, but yeah, for the most part, the older I'm getting, I'm not like that as much. So I'm starting to get more like you, probably. Oh, I know nothing about Lord of the Rings. That's all right. It's okay. But Star Trek, yes. What about we? I was just talking about, I guess, like Kirk, like how in all of the Star Treks, but in TOS, how Kirk is, kind of an idealized version of a human. Like he's basically supposed to be like the best version of a human. He's like, you know, he's compassionate and he's not a, he's not a racist or whatever. He's just very like he's an idealized version of a person. Like me, I'm almost 50. Well, I'm getting there. Well, I got a little ways to go, but yes, it is epic rap battles history, and that specific episode is brilliant. Yeah, that episode, that was it, Tolkien versus Martin. That episode pops over my head all the time. That was such a great. That was. I think that's their best episode, honestly. What was it? God, there's some great lines in that one. Man, I'm trying to think of just 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 Martin, just how they got the one guy in the fat suit from Martin was great. I want to say some lines, but they have swearing in them. I'm trying to swear in on here. Yeah, Kirk is the best version, but unlike Ray, he's not an unbelievable person, a Mary Sue. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's an idealized version of a person, but he still has flaws. Like that was the problem with Ray. She just had no flaws. She had basically no flaws. I like all the Star Trek's in the first 5 series, even like Archer. Yeah, that's how I am. I like all of them. I like all the original, the classic Treks as they call them. Yeah, I try watching Discovery. It was okay at first, but eh, it went off the rails pretty quick. But yeah, I agree with you. I like all of them. TOS, TNG, Voyager, DS9, Enterprise. They're all good in different ways. Yeah, Star Wars characters in it have their own road to redemption, stories on the way. They tie together as beautiful. Yeah, Star Wars does it. And a lot of people don't bring that up. Like that's probably why people, I think probably your common man probably gravitates more towards Star Wars because they start off kind of like, at low points and then they become better characters. The character growth's a little bit better. That's one thing I think Star Wars has over Star Trek. But not Star Trek has character growth. But Star Wars is a little better at that. But definitely, DS9 was good with that. DS9, Deep Space Nine had some pretty good character growth with like Quark. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, Quark, because he kind of started off kind of weaselly and like as it goes along, he becomes much more of a humanitarian as it goes along. I grew up with TNG. I mean, I saw TOS well, it wasn't new. I saw TNG when it was new, and the rest too. Yeah, yeah. I was I just missed TNG when it was new. I was born right around the time it was ending, so I just missed TNG. It was on technically, but I was like a toddler. Why aren't you giving Josh Adams credit for his Republic Commando Hard Contact audiobook? I did. It's on the description and stuff. I could put in the title, I guess. I thought I put in the title. I guess I could put in the. I'm pretty sure it's everywhere except maybe the title. I'll change it. I'll change the title if it's not. I might have forgot to put in the title. Kip Duron, an excellent road to redemption. Oh yeah, Kip Duron's great. He's a very underrated character. Yeah, I like Kip Duron a lot. I think he gets a lot of flack. I think he had a really good road to redemption. I agree. Star Trek before DS9 was. Yeah, I know that. I know DS9 was kind of the first one to try to like make some character growth. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's why I liked DS9 a lot more than I thought it would because there was really good character growth in that. Yeah, Rom. Yeah, Rom had character growth too. Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah, yeah. I'll change the title. I could have sworn I changed the title. Maybe I didn't. So I'll fix it. Don't worry. I don't have that monetized, by the way. Like I'm not making any money off of that intentionally because that's his thing. I just wanted to put it in like re-upload it in one video so we didn't have to, you know, watch all those little chunks. You were born when TNG was ending. I was already out of high school. I remember all my friends would round robin going to each other's houses to see the latest TNG episode. Yeah, I mean, I was born. I was just like, I think what it ended in 94, right? 93 or 94. I was like 3, 4, somewhere around there. Even Kira had character growth. Oh yeah, Kira. Yeah. They all did. They all really did. Even Cisco, like pretty much everybody did in that show. And yeah, no, yeah, no, it's DS9 is great. I mean, all the Star Treks are great, really. The classic Treks are all great in different ways. I still think I like Voyager. I have a soft spot for Voyager. I know it doesn't have the character growth quite as much as it doesn't really have the character growth that DS9 does, but it goes back to the episodic, which has advantages and disadvantages. You were 3 in 94, I was 19. Yeah. I miss TNG. So I've watched most of it, but I'm watching through it actually with my fiance now. So I've missed a lot of TNG, the early seasons of TNG. Okay, good. Just want to make sure you got credit as all. Yeah, of course. I'm not trying to steal anybody's stuff. I was just trying to get it out there for everybody. Speaking of DS9, who's the prettiest Star Trek star? Oof, I think we've talked about this before. I think we talked about this because I liked because I know you're not big on 709. Oh, it's tough. You know, I kind of like Hoshi from Enterprise. I always thought she was pretty cute and she's kind of underrated. Like people don't talk about her much. Most people would probably say 709 or Troy or something. Oh, Dax. Yeah, Dax is pretty good looking. You can't hold on to your horses. I've subscribed to this man for a while now, and he never steals off authors. If it is an description, which I'm sure it is, he simply forgot. Trust me on this. Yeah, it's okay, Dempsey. You don't have to. He probably means I should probably put it in the title, which I probably should. I know in the description for sure I wrote like this is made by Josh Adams. It's just a re-upload, but I'll put it in the title or something. Thanks, Dempsey. Thanks for the backup. I appreciate it. This is a really unpopular opinion, but I think Ezri Dax and also Kess are much more attractive than 709. The Kess is underrated. Yeah, Kess is pretty attractive. I do like Kess. I agree with you on that one. Oh, you're talking about yeah, sorry. As you're talking about as yeah, God, sorry. I forgot. Yeah, Ezri Dax, not Jadzia. It's what's weird for me with Jadzia. I can never I couldn't unsee her as the she was in Becker. She was in the sitcom I used to watch when I was a kid called Becker. I don't even know if you know what I'm talking about. It had Ted Danson in it, and she was like the bartender or something. He would go to a or like a convenience store or something. She was like the lady that ran the convenience store or the bar at a bar or something. And so I could never unsee her as that lady from Becker. She was always just the bartender lady from Becker to me. Kind of like when Jason Alexander was in Voyager. Like it was just George Costanza. I couldn't unsee like it's just George Costanza in Voyager. Yeah, she about Kess. Yeah, she had mental issues. Yeah, she like isn't she got fired. I think that's why she got fired from the show. Was like she was not showing up. Like I remember, I could have sworn I remember reading somewhere that the Voyager actors like she would just not show up on set and like she would like fight with the directors and stuff. Like she was just like a mess. So she got fired. I don't know Becker except that Jadzia left DS9 to go to Becker. Yeah, that was the show she did after. It's funny. I didn't see DS9 and I saw DS9 after Becker, but like it wasn't a show I watched like religiously or anything, but it was always on like right after I got out of school or something. So it was like the only thing on TV, so I watched it. Wasn't that good of a show, but she was in that. So it's like it was just like burned in my brain. It'd be like it kind of be like I'm trying to think of a good example. Maybe like my dad kind of had that with the guy what's his name with Archer because he was like he's in Quantum Leap. It's the guy from Quantum Leap. I can't like he couldn't get past him being the guy from Quantum Leap. See, I didn't have that problem with Archer because I didn't grow up watching Quantum Leap, so it didn't bother me. It's so good to talk to you again. I just got home from work. I had to drive 400 miles to do corporate porches today. 400 miles round trip. Wow, that sounds like me. I did a lot of driving this summer. I probably put yeah, I probably put at least probably 4,000 miles on my car. Probably 5,000 miles on my car this past couple months. So I hear you, man, about the driving. So I'll probably leave it at that unless somebody else has something really pressing they want to talk about. I'll do more streams. I kind of wanted to wait till I got a little settled. I'm finally kind of starting to get settled here, if you can't, as you can tell. So, um, I will probably leave it at this, guys. So, SJ Photo and everybody else who is here. Um, if anybody else has anything you want to say real quick, I'm glad to be back. I'm very happy. I'm happy that you guys are all here with me, talking to me, and I will be around much more much more frequently. I'll have a lot more time now because I'm not running around moving and doing stupid stuff. So I'll have a lot more time to talk to you guys. So I will be in touch. Awesome to see you live. I'm subbed to love your content. Thank you, Rob Patterson. When you stream, I'll probably do it every week. I might start doing it every weekend. I thought about trying to make this more of a regular thing. I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna make this more of a regular thing because I enjoy this, and you guys seem to enjoy it. So, um, I know it's I know it was kind of late. I normally will try to probably do it this late. Have a good night. Stream was fun. Thank you, Dominic. I agree. So. Been nice chatting to you. Catch you next time. Peace. Yeah, I'll be around. So, I will probably let you guys go now. Sweet. I appreciate for all your efforts. Thank you. Patterson. So, have a good weekend, guys. I'll be back. I might be back tomorrow or the day after. I'll be back soon. Don't worry. So I say what I always do. May the force be with you always.